The fork in my hand felt heavy as I stared at my plate, every muscle in my body frozen. Isabel's voice floated across the dining table like poison disguised as music, speaking rapid French to her father. My husband. My Trevor. Elle est tellement stupide, papa. Elle ne comprend rien. She is so stupid, dad. She understands nothing. Trevor laughed, responding in the same language. Patience, ma chérie. Encore quelques mois et tout son argent sera à nous. Ta mère et moi pourrons enfin être ensemble ouvertement. Patience, my darling. A few more months and all her money will be ours. Your mother and I can finally be together openly. I cut into my chicken, my hands steady even though my heart was shattering into 1,000 pieces. 4 years of French classes in Montreal during my college years. 4 years that Trevor knew nothing about because I had never mentioned them. 4 years that were now revealing the truth about my marriage, sitting right here at our dinner table. Maman dit que cette maison sera parfaite pour nous, Isabelle continued, twirling her fork. Elle veut la chambre principale. Mom says this house will be perfect for us. She wants the master bedroom. My house. The house I bought before I even met Trevor. The house that was solely in my name, purchased with money I had earned through years of working my way up from an assistant to a senior marketing executive. They were talking about taking everything from me. Bientôt, Trevor said, reaching across to pat his daughter's hand. Une fois que j'ai acheté à tout ces comptes d'investissement, nous n'aurons plus besoin de cette comédie. Once I have access to all her investment accounts, we won't need this comedy anymore. I took a sip of water, the glass touching my lips with practiced calm. Comedy. That is what my marriage was to him. A comedy. A performance. A long con to get my money. Elle mime signa les papiers la semaine dernière, Trevor added with a satisfied smile. Elle me fait confiance complètement. She even signed the papers last week. She trusts me completely. The papers. The investment portfolio documents he had brought home last Tuesday, explaining that we needed to consolidate our assets for tax purposes. He had seemed so earnest, so concerned about our financial future. Our future. What a lie. Tu es un génie, papa, Isabelle said, grinning. Maman avait raison de revenir vers toi. You're a genius, dad. Mom was right to come back to you. Colette. Isabelle's mother. Trevor's ex-girlfriend from before we met. Or so I thought. Apparently she had never been an ex at all. I looked up from my plate, arranging my face into what I hoped was pleasant confusion. You two sound so beautiful when you speak French together, I said, my voice steady and sweet. What are you talking about? Trevor's expression shifted into something affectionate and condescending. Just catching up about Isabelle's French class. She has a test coming up. I was telling Dad about my teacher, Isabelle added, her English flawless but smug. She's really strict. That sounds challenging, I replied, taking another bite. Inside my mind was racing. How long had this been going on? Since before our marriage? Since the beginning? I thought back to our wedding day 3 years ago. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Colette had not attended, supposedly because she was living abroad. Paris, Trevor had said. Working as a translator. Now I understood why Isabelle was fluent. She had been living with her mother until 2 years ago when Trevor convinced me that having his daughter move in with us would be good for everyone. She needs a mother figure, he had said. I had been hesitant. Isabelle was 14 then, at a difficult age. But I wanted to be a good wife, a good stepmother. I opened my home, my heart. I bought her clothes, helped her with homework, drove her to activities. And all this time she had been in on it. Naomi, you look tired, Trevor said, studying me. Are you feeling okay? Just a long day at work, I said. The Hendricks campaign is demanding. You work too hard, he replied, reaching over to squeeze my hand. His touch made my skin crawl, but I smiled. You should delegate more. Maybe you're right. Isabelle excused herself from the table, taking her plate to the kitchen. Trevor followed shortly after, saying he needed to check his email. I sat alone in the dining room, the chandelier above casting perfect light on the table. Everything looked normal. Beautiful even, but it was all built on lies. I stood and began clearing the table, my movements automatic. In the kitchen, I loaded the dishwasher while my mind worked through the information I had just learned. They wanted my money. They wanted my house. They wanted me gone. The investment papers I had signed. I needed to check them carefully. Trevor had rushed me through them, pointing out only the signature lines, explaining that they were standard documents. I had trusted him. Stupid. Isabelle was right about one thing. I had been stupid to trust him. But not anymore. I finished cleaning the kitchen and went upstairs to our bedroom. Trevor was in his office, door closed. I could hear his voice, low and intimate. Speaking French again. Speaking to Colette, no doubt. In our bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out my phone. I opened my banking app first. All my accounts appeared normal. My checking, savings, investment portfolio, everything was still in place. But for how long? What exactly had I signed? I went to my email and searched for any documents Trevor had sent me recently. There were several financial files, all marked as opened and acknowledged. I downloaded each one, my heart sinking as I read through them. Power of attorney. Joint account access. Beneficiary changes. He had been thorough. If something happened to me or if we divorced under certain conditions, he would get everything. And I had signed it all, trusting that my husband had my best interests at heart. The bedroom door opened and Trevor walked in, his phone still in his hand. He smiled when he saw me. "Hey beautiful," he said, leaning down to kiss my forehead. I did not pull away. "Ready for bed?" "Soon," I said. "I just need to finish some emails for work." "Always working," he teased. "That's my ambitious wife." "Your ambitious cash cow, you mean?" "Someone has to keep us in this lifestyle," I said lightly. He laughed. "True. I'll be in the shower." As soon as the bathroom door closed, I grabbed my laptop from the nightstand. I needed copies of everything. Every document, every email, every text message. I needed evidence. I worked quickly, downloading files to a secure cloud storage that Trevor knew nothing about. Bank statements, investment documents, emails, text messages, I saved it all. Then I started searching through Trevor's laptop, which he had left carelessly on his side of the bed. His password was easy. It was my birthday. The irony was not lost on me. His email was a treasure trove of lies. Messages to Colette going back 2 years. Before our marriage. During our marriage. Messages about me, about money, about their plans. Photos of them together. Recent photos. There was even a message thread about the best time to make it official, with me meaning divorce me and take my money. They had it all planned out. 6 more months, according to the latest messages. 6 months to ensure all the financial transfers were complete. All the legal documents were in place. Then Trevor would file for divorce, claim I was unstable, claim I was unfit. With the documents I had signed, he would walk away with most of my assets. I heard the shower turn off. Quickly, I forwarded the most important emails to my secure account, then cleared the history and closed his laptop. By the time Trevor came out of the bathroom, I was in my pajamas, looking at my phone as if scrolling through social media. "Coming to bed?" he asked. "In a minute." He climbed under the covers, and soon his breathing deepened into sleep. I lay next to him, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with plans. They thought I was stupid. They thought I understood nothing. But I understood everything now. And they were going to regret underestimating me. 3 years and 4 months earlier, I had been happy, successful, independent, and content with my life. I was 31 years old and had just been promoted to senior marketing executive at Morrison & Associates, one of the top marketing firms in the city. It was a position I had earned through countless hours of work, strategy, and dedication. I grew up in a small neighborhood where success was not guaranteed. My mother worked 2 jobs to keep me and my younger brother fed and housed. She died from exhaustion when I was 19, her body simply giving out from years of stress. I promised myself then that I would make something of my life, that her sacrifices would not be for nothing. College was paid for through scholarships and part-time jobs. I studied marketing and business, spending my junior year abroad in Montreal where I became fluent in French. It was one of the best years of my life. After graduation, I started at Morrison & Associates as an assistant, making coffee and copies. But I watched, I learned, and I worked harder than anyone else. 15 years later, I was at the top. I had a corner office, a team of 20 people under me, and a salary that would have made my mother cry with pride. I bought a house in a good neighborhood. A real house with a yard and a 2-car garage. It was mine, paid for with my money. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. My career was my focus. Until I met Trevor. It was at a charity fundraiser for youth education. I was there representing my company, networking and making connections. Trevor was there as a guest of one of the board members. He was handsome, charming, and attentive in a way that made me feel seen. "You have the most captivating smile," he had said, approaching me at the bar. "I'm Trevor." "Naomi?" I replied, shaking his hand. We talked for hours that night. He told me he was a consultant, working with small businesses to improve their operations. He had been married before, he said, but it ended badly. He had a daughter who lived with her mother in Paris. "Do you see her often?" I had asked. "Not as much as I'd like. he replied with what seemed like genuine sadness. Her mother and I had a difficult split. She thinks it's better if Isabel stays with her. I felt for him. He seemed like a good man dealing with a difficult situation. We exchanged numbers and he called me the very next day. Our courtship was intense. Trevor was romantic, thoughtful, and supportive of my career. He brought me flowers, planned surprise dates, and listened when I talked about work stress. After 6 months, he told me he loved me. After a year, he proposed. I said yes without hesitation. I was in love. I thought I had found a partner who understood me, who respected my ambition, who wanted to build a life together. We got married at the courthouse with a few close friends as witnesses. Nothing elaborate. I did not want a big wedding, and Trevor agreed. We honeymooned in the Caribbean for a week and it was perfect. The first year of marriage was good. Trevor worked from home mostly, managing his consulting clients. I continued to climb the corporate ladder. We talked about the future, about possibly having children of our own someday. Then about a year into our marriage, Trevor brought up Isabel. She's struggling in Paris, he said one evening over dinner. Colette called me. She thinks Isabel would do better here in a more stable environment. With us. Here? I was surprised. I thought Colette wanted her there. Things have changed, Trevor explained. Colette's work has her traveling constantly. Isabel is being raised by nannies and tutors. She needs a real home. I hesitated. Taking in a teenage girl was not a small decision. But Trevor looked so hopeful, so concerned for his daughter. And I wanted to be supportive. Okay, I agreed. Let's talk to her, make sure she wants this too. We video called Isabel that night. She was pretty with her father's eyes and a shy smile. She seemed sweet if a bit reserved. I would like to come to America, she said in accented English, to know my father better. And you, Naomi? We would love to have you, I replied. 3 weeks later, Isabel moved in. I converted my home office into a bedroom for her, complete with new furniture, decorations, and everything a teenager might need. I wanted her to feel welcome, to feel like this was her home too. The first few months were an adjustment. Isabel was polite but distant. She spent most of her time in her room or on video calls with her mother. Trevor assured me it was normal, that she just needed time to adjust. I tried to connect with her. I took her shopping, helped her enroll in school, drove her to activities. But there was always a wall between us. She would smile and say thank you, but there was something cold behind her eyes. She'll come around, Trevor always said. Just be patient. So I was patient. I was understanding. I was everything a good stepmother was supposed to be. Looking back now, I could see all the signs I had missed. The way Trevor and Isabel would stop talking when I entered a room. The way Isabel would smirk when she thought I was not looking. The long phone calls Trevor would take in private, always saying it was work. One memory stood out painfully. It was about 6 months after Isabel moved in. I came home early from work one day not feeling well. As I walked up the driveway, I heard voices in the backyard. I went around the side of the house and saw Trevor on his phone, speaking in what I now recognized as French. Je sais ma chérie. Bientôt. Elle subcan rain. I know, my darling. She suspects nothing. At the time, I assumed he was talking to Isabel, reassuring her about something. Now I knew he was talking to Colette. They had been planning this for years. I spent the rest of that evening replaying memories, seeing them through new eyes. The time Trevor had insisted I put him on my investment accounts. The time he suggested I update my will. The time he had been so supportive when I got my promotion, then suggested we celebrate by upgrading our joint credit cards. Every kind gesture, every romantic moment, every expression of love had been calculated. He had studied me, learned my weaknesses, and exploited them perfectly. I had been so proud of my success, of my ability to build a life from nothing. And Trevor had seen that pride as an opportunity. He knew I was independent, that I valued trust and partnership. So he had given me the illusion of both while slowly positioning himself to take everything. The next morning, I woke up before Trevor and went downstairs. Isabel was already in the kitchen, eating cereal and scrolling through her phone. Good morning, I said pleasantly. She looked up briefly. Morning. Sleep well. Fine. I poured myself coffee and sat across from her at the island. She glanced at me, then back at her phone. Isabel, I said carefully, do you like living here? She looked surprised by the question. It's fine. Why? Just checking in. I want you to be happy. She studied me for a moment, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt? Doubt. It was gone quickly, replaced by her usual cool expression. I'm fine, she repeated. Trevor came down a few minutes later, freshly showered and smiling. He kissed the top of my head as he passed. "Morning, ladies. What are we talking about?" "Nothing," Isabel said quickly. "Just chatting," I added. Trevor poured himself coffee and checked his phone. I watched him, seeing him clearly for the first time. The way his smile did not quite reach his eyes. The way he held himself with an arrogance I had mistaken for confidence. How had I missed it? How had I been so blind? But I knew the answer. I had wanted to believe in us. I had wanted to believe I could have a successful career and a happy marriage. I had wanted to believe that someone could love me for who I was, not for what I had. That morning, sitting in my kitchen with my husband and stepdaughter, I made a decision. I was not going to be a victim. I was not going to let them take everything I had worked for. I was going to fight back. But I had to be smart. Trevor thought I was stupid, that I understood nothing. I needed him to keep thinking that while I put my own plans in motion. I finished my coffee and stood. "I need to get ready for work. Big presentation today." "Good luck, babe," Trevor said absently, still looking at his phone. Isabel did not look up. I went upstairs and got ready for work, my mind already planning my next moves. First, I needed to secure my assets. Then I needed evidence. And finally, I needed a lawyer. Trevor and Colette thought they were running a perfect con. But they had made one crucial mistake. They underestimated me. The Morrison and Associates building stood tall in the downtown business district, all glass and steel reflecting the morning sun. I sat in my corner office, the city sprawling below me, and felt a strange disconnect. Everything looked the same. My desk, my computer, my diplomas on the wall. But I was different. Everything was different. My assistant, Patricia, knocked on the door frame. "Morning, Naomi. Your 9 o'clock is here." "Thanks, Pat. Give me 5 minutes, then send them in." She nodded and closed the door. I turned to my computer and pulled up my personal email on my phone instead. Using the office computer felt risky now, as if Trevor somehow had access to it. I knew that was paranoid, but I could not be too careful. I had spent most of the night going through Trevor's laptop while he slept, forwarding emails to a secure account I had set up. The full extent of the betrayal was worse than I thought. Messages between Trevor and Colette went back 4 years. Before we even met. They had targeted me specifically. One email from Colette, dated 6 months before I met Trevor, spelled it out clearly. "She's perfect. Single, successful, no close family to interfere. The charity event is next month. Make sure you're there. Be charming. She's worked hard for everything she has, so she'll appreciate a man who respects her ambition. Play into that." Trevor's response had been simple. "Leave it to me." They had researched me. Colette had been working with the charity organization and had access to the donor list. She had identified me as a target, and Trevor had executed the plan perfectly. Every moment of our relationship had been a lie from the very beginning. I took a deep breath and forced myself to focus. My presentation went well, and the client was pleased. I smiled, shook hands, and talked strategy, all while my personal life was crumbling. But I was good at compartmentalizing. I had to be. During lunch, I left the office and drove to a bank across town, one that Trevor and I did not use. I opened a new personal account, one solely in my name, and transferred a significant portion of my individual savings into it. The banker who helped me was professional and discreet. "I need this account to be completely private," I explained. "No statements mailed to my house. Only digital access, and I want 2-factor authentication on everything." "Of course, Miss Patterson. Your security is our priority." Next, I stopped at a storage facility and rented a small unit. I paid for 6 months up front in cash. This would be my backup, a place to store important documents and belongings if I needed to leave quickly. By the time I returned to the office, it was mid-afternoon. Patricia had left a stack of messages on my desk. One was from Trevor, asking me to pick up dinner on the way home. I texted back that I would. That evening, I stopped at our usual restaurant and picked up food. When I got home, Trevor was in his office and Isabel was upstairs. I set the food on the counter and called up that dinner was ready. We ate together at the table again, and the contrast to last night was surreal. Trevor talked about his day, about a difficult client. Isabel complained about homework. I nodded and responded appropriately, playing my role perfectly. "Tu as vu les nouveaux papiers?" Isabel asked Trevor suddenly. "Did you see the new papers?" "Oui," Trevor replied. "Tout est en order. Encore quelques signatures et c'est fait." "Yes. Everything is in order. Just a few more signatures and it's done." "Quand vas-tu lui demander de signer?" "When will you ask her to sign?" "Ce weekend." "Je vais dire que c'est pour les impôts." "This weekend." "I'll say it's for taxes." More papers. More signatures. I kept eating, my expression blank. After dinner, I excused myself to take a bath. In the bathroom, with the door locked and the water running, I called the law firm I had researched during my lunch break. A firm that specialized in family law and asset protection. "I need a consultation," I said quietly when the receptionist answered. "As soon as possible. It's regarding divorce. We have an opening tomorrow at 4. Would that work?" "Perfect." I gave them my new personal email and my cell number, not the one Trevor knew. When I hung up, I sat on the edge of the tub and let myself feel it all for a moment. The anger, the hurt, the betrayal. Then I locked it away again. There would be time for tears later. Right now, I needed to be strategic. The next day, I left work at 3:30, telling Patricia I had a doctor's appointment. The law office was in a different part of town, discreet and professional. The attorney, a woman named Leslie Grant, was in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Tell me everything," she said after we settled in her office. I did. I explained how Trevor and I met, the timeline of our relationship, Isabel moving in, and finally the conversation in French and everything I had discovered since. Leslie listened without interrupting, occasionally taking notes. When I finished, she sat back and studied me. "First, I'm sorry you're going through this. Second, you did the right thing coming here. Third, we need to move quickly to protect your assets. What should I do? Do you have copies of all the financial documents you signed?" "Yes. I've secured them in a cloud account he doesn't know about." "Good. I'll need to review those. Based on what you're telling me, there may be grounds to claim fraud or duress, which would invalidate any financial agreements. But we need to build a solid case. What about the house?" "It's in my name only." "That's good. But if you signed any documents giving him rights, or if there are any clauses in your prenup, do you have a prenup?" "No. He said he didn't believe in them, that they were unromantic." Leslie's expression tightened. "Of course he did. Okay, so everything is marital property by default, but the house being in your name before the marriage gives us leverage. Do you have records proving you purchased it before you met?" "Yes." "Excellent. Now here's what we're going to do. First, you're going to freeze any joint accounts. Transfer your half into separate accounts that only you control. Second, change all your passwords, email, banking, everything. Third, do not sign anything else he gives you. If he asks, make an excuse. Say you want your own lawyer to review it, say you're too busy at work, whatever you need to say. But do not sign. Okay? Fourth, document everything. Every conversation in French, every suspicious email, every financial transaction. We need a complete picture. And finally, do not let on that you know. The element of surprise is crucial here." "I understand. I'm going to start drafting divorce papers, but we won't file until we have everything in place. Do you feel safe at home? Is there any risk of him becoming violent?" I thought about it. No. Trevor is calculating but not violent. He'd never risk doing something that could jeopardize his plan. Good. But if that changes, if you ever feel unsafe, you call me immediately. And call the police. We talked for another hour, going over details and strategy. By the time I left, I felt more in control. I had a plan. I had an ally. And I had hope. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved carefully. I froze our joint accounts, claiming there had been suspicious activity, and the bank suggested it as a precaution. Trevor was annoyed but accepted it. I changed all my passwords, started keeping a detailed journal of every conversation, and forwarded Leslie every document I found. Trevor tried twice to get me to sign new papers. The first time I said I had a headache and would look at them later. The second time I said I wanted to have them reviewed by a financial advisor. "Why?" Trevor asked, his tone sharp. "Don't you trust me?" "Of course I do," I lied smoothly. "But these are big decisions. I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. For both of us." He backed off, but I could see the calculation in his eyes. He was worried. Good. At home, I started sleeping in the guest room, claiming my insomnia was getting worse and I did not want to disturb him. In truth, I could not stand to lie next to him anymore. Every touch, every kiss made my skin crawl. Isabel noticed the change. One evening, when Trevor was out meeting a client, she cornered me in the kitchen. "Are you and Dad fighting?" she asked. "No," I said calmly. "Why would you think that? You seem different. Distant." I looked at her, this girl I had tried so hard to love, and felt nothing but cold anger. But I smiled. "Just stressed with work. Big campaign launching next month." She studied me, suspicious. "If you say so." That night, after everyone was asleep, I went through Trevor's laptop again. There was a new email from Colette and it made my blood run cold. "She's acting strange. Isabel noticed. I think she might know something. You need to speed this up. Get the final documents signed this week, then we can move forward with the divorce. The longer we wait, the more risk there is. Trevor's response, sent just an hour before I saw it, was worse. I'll handle it. I'll tell her we need to consolidate everything for a big investment opportunity. She trusts me. She'll sign. And if she doesn't, we'll find another way. Another way. What did that mean? I took screenshots of everything and sent them to Leslie, then to my own secure account. Then I crawled into the guest bed and stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. They were getting desperate. And desperate people made mistakes. I just had to be ready. I became someone I did not recognize. Someone calculating, careful, and cold. Every morning I woke up and put on a mask, the face of a trusting wife who suspected nothing. But underneath, I was documenting everything. My phone became my most valuable tool. I recorded conversations when possible, always keeping it in my pocket with the voice memo app running. I took photos of documents Trevor left lying around. I tracked his movements, noting when he left the house and for how long. Leslie had given me the name of a private investigator, a woman named Rachel who specialized in infidelity cases. I met her at a coffee shop downtown, far from anywhere Trevor might go. I need proof of the affair, I told her. Photos, videos, whatever you can get. Rachel was in her 40s, professional and direct. Do you know where they meet? No. But I can probably find out. Over the next few days, I paid close attention to Trevor's schedule. He had always been vague about his client meetings, but now I listened more carefully. He mentioned meeting someone at a restaurant on Thursday evening. He said it was a potential new client, but something about the way he said it made me suspicious. I called Rachel. Thursday night. I'll text you the restaurant name and time. Thursday came, and Trevor left the house at 6, dressed better than usual for a business meeting. I gave him a 15-minute head start, then followed, staying far enough back that he would not notice. Rachel was already positioned near the restaurant. Sure enough, Trevor was not meeting a client. Colette was waiting for him at a corner table, looking elegant in a way that made my stomach twist. She was beautiful, I had to admit. Tall, slim, with perfect hair and expensive clothes. The kind of woman who turned heads. They greeted each other with a kiss that was definitely not friendly. I watched from across the street, my hands shaking with anger. Rachel was nearby, her camera capturing everything. After an hour, they left the restaurant together and walked to a nearby hotel. Rachel followed them inside, getting photos of them checking in, then waited. 30 minutes later, she texted me. Got what you need. Heading out now. I drove home in a daze. When Trevor came back 3 hours later, I was in the living room watching television. How was your meeting? I asked casually. Good. Productive. We might have a new client. That's great, honey. He kissed my forehead and went upstairs. I sat there for a long time after, feeling numb. The next morning, I met Leslie at her office. Rachel had already sent over the photos and her report. The evidence was damning. Trevor and Colette together, kissing, checking into a hotel. Time stamped and documented. This is excellent, Leslie said. Combined with the emails and text messages, we have a strong case for fraud. He married you under false pretenses with the intent to steal your assets. A judge will not look kindly on that. What's next? We need to secure your assets completely. I'm going to draft divorce papers citing fraud and infidelity. We'll also file for an emergency motion to freeze all joint assets and remove his access to anything connected to your name. Once we file, he'll be served and there will be no going back. I'm ready. Are you sure? This is going to get ugly. He will fight back. Let him. I have the truth on my side. Over the next week, Leslie and I prepared everything. I transferred more money into my private accounts, stored important documents in my storage unit, and prepared for the storm I was about to unleash. At home, I maintained the facade. I smiled, cooked dinner, asked about Trevor's day. But inside, I was counting down the hours until I could be free of him. One evening, Trevor brought up the financial papers again. Naomi, we really need to finalize these documents, he said. The investment opportunity one told you about has a deadline. What opportunity? I asked innocently. The real estate portfolio I mentioned last month. Remember? High returns, low risk. I had no memory of him mentioning any such thing. It was probably another lie. All right. Can I see the papers again? He pulled them out of his briefcase, that same folder he had been trying to get me to sign for weeks. I flipped through them slowly, pretending to read carefully. This is a lot of money, I said. Can I have my financial advisor look at it first? Trevor's jaw tightened. Naomi, come on. Don't you trust me? I'm your husband. I do trust you. But this is a big decision. I just want to be careful. We're running out of time. The deadline is next week. Then I'll have him review it this weekend. I promise. He stared at me and I saw frustration flash across his face. But he forced a smile. Okay, this weekend. But we can't miss this opportunity, Naomi. It's going to set us up for life. Set you and Colette up, you mean? I understand. That Saturday, I told Trevor I was going to the office to catch up on work. Instead, I went to Leslie's office where we finalized everything. The divorce papers were ready. The motion to freeze assets was ready. All we needed was my signature. Once you sign these, there's no turning back, Leslie reminded me. Are you absolutely sure? I thought about the life I thought I had. The marriage I thought was real. The future I thought we were building. All lies. All calculated moves in a con game where I was the mark. I'm sure. I signed the papers. We'll file on Monday morning, Leslie said. He'll be served by Monday afternoon. I recommend you stay somewhere else for a few days while this plays out. I'll go to a hotel. Good. And Naomi? Change your locks. Immediately. Don't give him the chance to come back to the house. I nodded. I had already arranged for a locksmith to come Monday morning, after Trevor left for what he thought was a normal day. That weekend was surreal. I packed a bag and hid it in the trunk of my car. I went through the house and took photos of everything valuable, documenting what was mine. I backed up all my files, all my photos, everything important. Trevor was suspicious. I could feel him watching me, noting my behavior. Are you okay? He asked Sunday evening. You seem distracted. Just thinking about work. Big week ahead. Don't work too hard. We need to finalize those papers, remember? I remember. Sunday night I barely slept. I lay in the guest bed, staring at the ceiling, knowing that tomorrow my life would change forever. There was no fear, only determination. I was taking my life back. Monday morning came. Trevor left for his office at 8:30, coffee in hand, completely oblivious. Isabel had left for school earlier. I was alone in the house. I called the locksmith. I need you here in the next hour. On my way. Then I called my office. Patricia, I need you to clear my schedule for the next few days. Personal emergency. Is everything okay? It will be. The locksmith arrived at 9:15. By 10 all the locks were changed. I had the only set of keys. At 10:30 my phone rang. It was Leslie. Papers are filed. The server is on his way to Trevor's office now. Okay. How are you feeling? Strong. Good. Call me after he's been served. And Naomi? Stay safe. I waited. I sat in my living room in my house and waited. At 11:15 my phone exploded with calls and texts. Trevor. Over and over. I did not answer. Then came the voicemails. Naomi, what the hell is this? Call me back right now. This is insane. You can't do this. We need to talk. Naomi, please. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. Call me. Then the messages from Isabel. My dad says you're divorcing him? What's going on? Naomi, call me. Please. I turned my phone to silent and sat in the quiet. Outside, the world continued as normal. People went to work, children went to school, life went on. But inside this house, inside me, everything had changed. At noon, Trevor's car screeched into the driveway. I watched through the window as he ran to the door and tried his key. It did not work. He tried again. Nothing. He pounded on the door. Naomi, open this door. We need to talk. I did not move. I know you're in there. Naomi, this is crazy. Just talk to me. A neighbor across the street came out to watch. Trevor saw her and forced himself to calm down. He stepped back from the door, his chest heaving. Fine, he called through the door. Fine. But this isn't over. You can't just throw away our marriage like this. He got back in his car and drove away. I watched him go, and for the first time in weeks I smiled. It was far from over. But for the first time I was in control. The hotel room was sterile but safe. I checked in under my maiden name, paid in cash, and kept my phone off except to check messages from Leslie. For 3 days I stayed away from the house, away from Trevor, away from everything familiar. Leslie called on Wednesday morning. We had the emergency hearing yesterday. The judge granted the motion to freeze all joint assets and remove Trevor's access to your accounts. He also issued a temporary restraining order keeping him away from you in the house. How did he react? His lawyer tried to argue that you were overreacting, that there was no evidence of fraud. So we showed the judge the emails, the photos, the documented affair. He shut up pretty quickly after that. Good. Trevor wants to meet. His lawyer suggested mediation. No. That's what I thought you'd say. Okay, we move forward with the divorce proceedings. Discovery starts next week. This is going to get messy, Naomi. He's going to come after you hard. Let him try. But that afternoon, when I went back to check on the house, Trevor was waiting in his car down the street. The restraining order said he could not come within 100 feet of me or the property. He was parked exactly 100 feet away. When he saw my car, he got out and stood at the edge of the property line, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. Naomi, please. Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I should have driven away. I should have called the police. But part of me wanted this confrontation. Part of me needed to see his face when I told him I knew everything. I got out of my car but stayed near the driver's side, ready to leave if needed. 5 minutes, I said coldly. Thank you. He ran his hand through his hair, looking stressed in a way I had never seen before. Naomi, I don't understand what's happening. Why are you doing this? You don't understand? I laughed bitterly. Really? That's the angle you're going with? Whatever you think I did. Jay sayest tout Trevor? I know everything, Trevor. The blood drained from his face. For a moment he just stared at me, his mouth open. You speak French? Fluently. I spent a year in Montreal during college. Did Colette forget to check that when she was researching me? He stepped back as if I had hit him. For years, I continued, my voice shaking with anger. You and Colette planned this for 4 years. You targeted me, researched me, manipulated me. Every moment we had together was a lie. Every word of love, every promise, all of it was just part of your con. Naomi, wait. I heard everything at dinner that night. Every word you and Isabel said. About taking my house, my money, how stupid I was. I've read your emails, Trevor. I know about the investment papers you wanted me to sign, the ones that would have given you access to everything. I know about your meetings with Colette, about the hotel rooms, about all of it. Trevor's expression shifted from shock to something harder. The mask slipped and I saw the real him for the first time. Calculating. You can't prove any of that. Can't I? I have emails. I have text messages. I have photos of you and Colette together. I have recordings of your conversations in French. I have everything, Trevor. And so does my lawyer. And so will the judge. He took a step toward me and I held up my phone. One more step and I call the police. You're violating the restraining order by talking to me at all. He stopped but his face was twisted with anger now. You think you're so smart, he spat. You think you've won. But you don't know everything, Naomi. You have no idea what we're capable of. Is that a threat? It's a fact. You're going to regret this. You're going to regret not just signing those papers and making this easy. The only thing I regret is wasting 3 years of my life on you. I got back in my car and drove away, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. In my rearview mirror, I saw him standing there watching me leave. His words echoed in my mind. You don't know what we're capable of. That evening, I called Leslie and told her about the encounter. He threatened you? Sort of. He said I don't know what they're capable of. That's enough. I'm filing a complaint with the court. He violated the restraining order by approaching you, and he made a veiled threat. We'll use this. Leslie, what if he tries something? What if he comes after me? Do you think he would? I thought about Trevor's face, the cold calculation in his eyes when the mask slipped. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to recommend the judge extend and strengthen the restraining order. I also think you should consider hiring private security, at least for the next few weeks. Security? Just as a precaution. These types of cases can escalate quickly, especially when money is involved. I have contacts if you want recommendations. I agreed, and by Friday I had a security consultant reviewing my house and my daily routines. They installed better locks, a security system with cameras, and gave me a panic button to wear around my neck. If you feel threatened at any time, you press this button, the consultant explained. It alerts us and automatically calls 911. Don't hesitate to use it. It felt extreme, but after Trevor's threat, I was not taking chances. Over the weekend, I moved back into the house. My house. The locks were changed, the security was installed, and Trevor had no way to get in. Still, every sound made me jump. Every car that drove by made me check the cameras. Sunday afternoon, there was a knock at the door. I checked the camera and saw Isabel standing on the porch, alone. She looked nervous, her hands shoved in her pockets. I should not have opened the door. But I was curious. What do you want, Isabel? Can I come in? Please? I just want to talk. Against my better judgment, I opened the door but did not invite her inside. We stood in the doorway, a visible barrier between us. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I'm sorry for what I said at dinner. For all of it." "You're sorry?" I laughed without humor. "You helped your father and mother plot to steal everything from me. You mocked me to my face thinking I was too stupid to understand. And now you're sorry? I didn't know it would go this far. I thought it was just talk." "Just talk? Isabel, you're 16, not 6. You knew exactly what you were doing." Tears welled in her eyes. "My mom said it would be okay. She said you wouldn't get hurt, that you had so much money you wouldn't even notice." "That's not the point. The point is you helped them lie to me. You made me believe I had a family when all you wanted was my money." "I'm sorry," she said again, her voice breaking. "Please, Naomi. I know I messed up. But I don't have anywhere else to go." "What do you mean?" "My dad is staying at my mom's place. They're fighting all the time now, blaming each other. They said I'm the reason you found out, that I was careless. They don't want me around." For a moment, just a moment, I felt sorry for her. She was a kid caught in the middle of her parents' scheme. But then I remembered her smug face at dinner, the way she had laughed while insulting me. "That's not my problem, Isabel. You made your choice. You sided with them. Now you have to live with the consequences. Please? No. Go back to your parents. Work it out with them. But you're not welcome here anymore." I closed the door on her tear-stained face and walked away. Part of me felt guilty, but a larger part felt nothing at all. I had spent months trying to be a good stepmother to her, trying to build a relationship, trying to make her feel loved. And she had betrayed me just as completely as Trevor had. They all had to face the consequences of their actions. And I had to focus on rebuilding my life. 6 weeks had passed since I filed for divorce. 6 weeks since my entire life had been turned upside down. But somewhere in the chaos I found something unexpected. I woke up in my house without the weight of pretending. I drank my coffee without wondering what lies Trevor would tell that day. I went to work and focused without my phone constantly buzzing with manipulative texts. For the first time in years I was free. The divorce proceedings were moving forward. Discovery had revealed even more damning evidence. Trevor had been stealing small amounts from our joint account for months, thinking I would not notice. Colette had quit her job in Paris 2 years ago and had been living in an apartment 40 minutes away that Trevor was paying for. They had been together the entire time I knew him. Leslie was building an airtight case. Not only was I getting everything that was mine, but Trevor would likely face fraud charges. The district attorney's office had taken an interest in the case after Leslie shared the evidence. At work, my team had noticed the change in me. Patricia commented on it one morning. "You seem different lately," she said, bringing me my coffee. "Lighter somehow." "I'm just focusing on what matters," I replied. And I threw myself into work with renewed energy. The Hendricks campaign launched successfully, bringing in a major new client. My boss, Richard Morrison himself, called me into his office. "Outstanding work on Hendricks," he said. "I'm impressed, Naomi. I've always known you were talented, but this was exceptional." "Thank you, sir. I'm promoting you to executive vice president. It comes with a significant raise in your own team expansion. You've earned it." I left his office feeling accomplished in a way that had nothing to do with anyone else. This was my success. My achievement. Mine alone. That evening, I went to dinner with my friend Nicole, one of the few people I had stayed close with through the years. She was the first person I had told about the divorce, and she had been supportive throughout. "You look amazing," she said as we settled into our booth. "Seriously, Naomi. You're glowing. I got promoted today." "What? That's incredible. Executive VP?" "Yes. We're celebrating. Order the expensive wine." We laughed and talked, and I realized how much I had missed this. Real friendship. Real conversation. During my marriage, I had pulled away from friends, spending all my energy on Trevor and Isabel. Now I was reconnecting with the people who actually cared about me. "Have you thought about dating again?" Nicole asked carefully. "I know it's soon, but—" "No," I said firmly. "Absolutely not. I need to focus on myself right now. The last thing I need is another man." "Fair enough. But when you're ready, you let me know. I have some single friends who would be lucky to meet you." I smiled but did not commit to anything. The idea of trusting someone again, of being vulnerable, felt impossible. Maybe someday. But not now. Over the next few weeks, I rebuilt my life piece by piece. I redecorated the house, replacing anything that reminded me of Trevor. I took a painting class on weekends, something I had always wanted to do but never had time for. I volunteered at a youth center, mentoring young girls about career planning. One Saturday afternoon while I was painting in my living room, my phone rang. A known number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Miss Patterson? This is Detective Morris with the District Attorney's Office. I wanted to update you on the case against Trevor Patterson. Okay. We've gathered enough evidence to charge him with fraud and identity theft. He accessed your accounts using forged documents and falsified your signature on several occasions. We'll be arresting him next week. I see. His accomplice, Colette Beaumont, is also being charged. They both face significant prison time if convicted. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. Prison. Trevor was going to prison. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me felt nothing at all. He had made his choices. Now he would face the consequences. The arrest made local news. Local consultant arrested for fraud, read the headline. My name was kept out of it, thankfully, but people at work figured it out. The support I received was overwhelming. Cards, messages, offers to talk if I needed someone. But I was okay. More than okay. I was thriving. 3 months after filing for divorce, the decree was finalized. Everything was mine. The house, my investments, my savings, all legally protected. Trevor got nothing except a criminal record and a court date. Leslie called to congratulate me. You did it, Naomi. You fought back and won. We did it. Thank you, Leslie. For everything. It was my pleasure. Now go live your best life. That evening, I sat on my back porch with a glass of wine watching the sunset. The air was cool, the sky painted in shades of pink and orange. I thought about where I had been a year ago. Married, trusting, blind to the truth. And where I was now. Free, strong, and finally living for myself. My phone buzzed. A text from Nicole. Gallery opening next Friday. Artist showcase. Want to come? I smiled and typed back. Yes. The gallery was crowded with people dressed in elegant casual clothes, holding wine glasses and studying the art on the walls. Nicole grabbed my hand and pulled me through the crowd. The artist is a friend from college, she explained. His work is incredible. Very emotional, very raw. I followed her, grateful for the distraction. Work had been intense lately with my new role, and I needed a break from thinking about strategy and campaigns. The artwork was stunning. Bold colors, abstract shapes that somehow conveyed deep emotion. I stopped in front of a particular piece, a swirl of blues and grays that felt both chaotic and peaceful. That one's called After the Storm, a voice said beside me. I turned and found a man standing there, wine glass in hand, studying the same painting. He was tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile. It's beautiful, I said. I think so too. There's something about the way the colors blend. Like they're fighting but also supporting each other. We stood in comfortable silence for a moment, both looking at the art. I'm Jerome, he said, extending his hand. Naomi. First time at one of Marcus's shows? Yes. My friend Nicole dragged me here. Nicole Chin? She's here? You know her? We went to college together. Small world. We talked easily, moving from one painting to the next. Jerome was a financial consultant, specializing in helping small businesses with their growth strategies. He was smart, funny, and remarkably easy to talk to. When he asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime, I surprised myself by saying yes. Over the next few weeks, Jerome and I saw each other regularly. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into walks in the park. He was patient, never pushing, always respectful of my boundaries. Nicole told me you went through a difficult divorce, he said one evening as we walked along the waterfront. She did. I hope that's okay. I asked about you and she said I should know that you might be cautious about dating. I appreciated his honesty. It was difficult. My ex-husband, he wasn't who I thought he was. I'm sorry. I'm not. Not anymore. It taught me a lot about myself. About what I want and what I won't accept. That's a healthy way to look at it. We stopped at a bench overlooking the water, watching boats drift by in the distance. Can I ask you something? Jerome said. Sure. What made you say yes to coffee with me? Nicole said you weren't interested in dating. I thought about it. Honestly, you didn't try too hard. You were just real. No games, no performance. Just conversation. He smiled. I'm too old for games. And too lazy to pretend to be someone I'm not. I laughed. It felt good to laugh with someone, to feel light instead of guarded. But I was still careful. I did not introduce him to anyone from work. I did not rush into anything physical. I kept parts of my life separate, protected. Jerome seemed to understand and never complained. Meanwhile, Trevor's trial was approaching. Leslie kept me updated on the proceedings. Trevor had tried to plea bargain, but the DA was not interested. They wanted to make an example of him. How do you feel about testifying? Leslie asked during one of our calls. Whatever you need me to do. You'll have to face him in court. See him again. I know. I'm ready. The trial was set for 2 months away. In the meantime, I focused on my new role at work, my friendship with Nicole, and the careful, slow relationship I was building with Jerome. One Saturday, Jerome invited me to meet his mother. I hesitated. That's a big step, I said. I know. But she's been asking about you and I thought, only if you're comfortable. Why does she want to meet me? Because I told her I met someone special. My heart did a small flip. Special. When was the last time someone had made me feel special for the right reasons? Okay, I agreed. I'll meet her. His mother, Dorothy, was lovely. She was in her 60s, retired from teaching, and had the kind of warmth that made you feel immediately comfortable. Jerome talks about you constantly, she said, pouring tea in her cozy kitchen. Naomi this, Naomi that. I had to meet the woman who has my son so smitten. Mom? Jerome groaned, embarrassed. I laughed. It's okay. I'm flattered. He tells me you're a very successful marketing executive? I am. I just got promoted to executive VP. That's wonderful. You know, Jerome's father was in marketing too. He passed away 5 years ago, but he would have loved talking shop with you. The afternoon was pleasant, filled with stories and laughter. When we left, Jerome walked me to my car. Thank you for coming today, he said. I know you're careful about letting people in. Your mom is great. She liked you too. I could tell. He leaned in to kiss me, soft and sweet. It was our first kiss, and it felt right in a way that nothing with Trevor ever had. No calculation, no performance. Just genuine affection. Take your time, Jerome said softly. I'm not going anywhere. That week at work, I was called into Richard Morrison's office again. Naomi, I have a proposition for you, he said. We're opening a new branch in Seattle. I want you to head it up. Seattle? I know it's a big ask. It would mean relocating, building a team from scratch, establishing our presence in a new market. But I think you're the right person for it. Can I think about it? Of course. Take your time. I left his office in a daze. Seattle. A fresh start in a new city. Away from all the memories of Trevor, away from the places we had been together. But also away from Nicole. Away from Jerome. That evening, I met Nicole for dinner and told her about the offer. Seattle, she said. That's amazing, Naomi. But it's so far. I know. Are you considering it? I don't know. Part of me wants a completely fresh start. But another part of me has just started building something here. You mean Jerome? Not just him. You, my team, the life I'm rebuilding. Is it running away if I leave? Or is it moving forward? Nicole reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Only you can answer that. But whatever you decide, I support you. I talked to Jerome about it the next time I saw him. Seattle is a great city, he said carefully. It's a huge opportunity. But I'd miss you. A lot. He paused. That said, I would never ask you to give up your career for me. That wouldn't be fair. What if I asked you to come with me? He looked surprised. You'd want that. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's too soon to make those kinds of decisions, right? Is it? He took my hand. Naomi, I know we've only been seeing each other for a few months, but I really care about you. If you decide to go to Seattle, I'd at least want to try long distance. And if it gets serious enough, I could look into relocating my business. You'd do that? For the right person? Yes. I left that conversation feeling conflicted. This was exactly what I said I did not want. Another relationship, another complication. But Jerome was different. He was patient, genuine, and supportive in ways Trevor never was. The trial date arrived before I had made my decision about Seattle. I wore a navy suit and minimal jewelry, professional and composed. Leslie met me outside the courthouse. Ready? She asked. As I'll ever be. Inside, the courtroom was formal and intimidating. Trevor sat at the defendant's table with his lawyer, looking thinner than I remembered, his confidence gone. When he saw me, his expression hardened. Colette was also there, seated separately with her own lawyer. She did not look at me once. I took the stand and told my story. The manipulation, the lies, the fraudulent documents. Leslie walked me through everything and I answered calmly, factually. When Trevor's lawyer cross-examined me, trying to paint me as vindictive and exaggerating, I held firm. Did you or did you not love my client? he asked. I loved who I thought he was, I replied. But that person never existed. The trial lasted 3 days. Witnesses testified, evidence was presented, and the truth came out in undeniable detail. The jury deliberated for 6 hours before returning with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Trevor would serve 5 years in prison. Colette received 3 years for her role as an accomplice. As they were led away, Trevor looked at me one last time. I met his gaze with no emotion, no sympathy. Just closure. Outside the courthouse, Leslie hugged me. It's over, she said. It's finally over. Thank you. For everything. Go live your life, Naomi. You've earned it. That evening, I sat in my house, my sanctuary, and made my decision about Seattle. I was going to take the job. 2 weeks before my plan moved to Seattle, something unexpected happened. I received an email from an address I did not recognize. Subject, I owe you an apology. I almost deleted it, assuming it was spam. But something made me open it. Dear Naomi, you don't know me, but I know about you. My name is Gabrielle Rousseau. I am Colette's sister. I recently found out about everything that happened between you, my sister, and Trevor Patterson. I want you to know that I had no idea what they were doing. Colette and I have not been close for years, precisely because I disapproved of her lifestyle and choices. When I heard about the trial and what she did to you, I was disgusted. I know this means nothing coming from me, a stranger, but I am truly sorry for what you went through. You did not deserve that. I am writing because I have information that might be relevant to you. There were others before you. Other women that Colette and Trevor targeted. I have evidence of at least 2 other cases. They were never prosecuted because the women did not realize the full extent of what happened until it was too late. If you're interested in this information, please contact me. If not, I understand. You've been through enough. Again, I am sincerely sorry. Gabrielle Rousseau. I read the email 3 times, my hands shaking. Other women. There had been others. I forwarded the email to Leslie immediately. This could be big, Leslie said when she called me back. If we can prove a pattern of this behavior, it strengthens the case against them. The DA might be able to add additional charges. Should I meet with her? Let me reach out first, verify her identity and the information. If it checks out, then yes. 3 days later, Leslie confirmed that Gabrielle was who she claimed to be, and her information was legitimate. There had been 2 other women in the 5 years before Trevor met me. One in Chicago, one in Denver. Both successful, single, and financially independent. Both had been targeted, manipulated, and stolen from. Neither had pressed charges. One had not realized the full extent of the fraud until after Trevor disappeared with her money. The other had been too embarrassed to come forward. Leslie arranged for me to meet Gabrielle at a coffee shop downtown. I was nervous, not knowing what to expect. Gabrielle was in her late 30s, dressed simply but elegantly. She had Colette's bone structure but none of her coldness. Her eyes were kind, sad even. Thank you for meeting me, she said as we sat down. I know this must be awkward. Thank you for coming forward. I should have done it sooner. I should have stopped Colette years ago. But we weren't close, and I told myself it wasn't my business. You're not responsible for your sister's choices. Maybe not. But I could have warned someone. I knew she was off. She's always been manipulative, even as a child. Our parents spoiled her, gave her everything. She grew up thinking the world owed her luxury and comfort without having to work for it. What changed? Why come forward now? I saw the news coverage of the trial. I saw your face in the courtroom photos. You looked so strong, so determined. And I realized that you were the first person to actually fight back, to hold them accountable. I wanted to help. She pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. These are statements from the 2 other women. They agreed to let me share them with you and your lawyer. There are also bank records showing similar patterns of theft, emails between Colette and Trevor planning the cons, even a voice recording from one of the women where Trevor is clearly lying about his business. I flipped through the documents, my anger rising with each page. How many lives had they destroyed? How much pain had they caused? The DA can use this? I asked. Your lawyer thinks so. It establishes pattern and premeditation. They might be able to extend Trevor's sentence. Good. We talked for over an hour. Gabrielle told me about growing up with Colette, about warning signs she had ignored, about the guilt she felt now. I don't expect you to forgive my sister, she said as we prepared to leave. I don't forgive her either. But I wanted to do something to help the people she's hurt. You are helping. Thank you, Gabrielle. There's one more thing, she said hesitantly. Isabel. Trevor and Colette's daughter. What about her? She's been placed in foster care. Neither of her parents can care for her now, obviously, and I'm overseas for work. She has nowhere to go. My stomach tightened. Why are you telling me this? Because she's still a child. A child who made terrible choices because of terrible parents, but a child nonetheless. I'm not asking you to take her in or anything like that. I thought you should know. After Gabrielle left, I sat in my car for a long time. Isabel. The girl who had mocked me, betrayed me, helped her parents try to destroy me. Now she was alone, in foster care, facing the consequences of her family's actions. I should have felt satisfied. This was justice. But instead, I felt something more complicated. That evening, I talked to Nicole about it. You're thinking about helping her, aren't you? Nicole said. No. Maybe. I don't know. Naomi, you don't owe that girl anything. She helped them hurt you. I know. But she's 16. Her whole life is ruined because of her parents. Because of her choices too. She knew what she was doing. Did she? Or was she manipulated just like I was? Nicole sighed. Only you can decide what's right here. But be careful. Don't let guilt or misplaced responsibility lead you into another bad situation. I thought about it for days. Part of me wanted nothing to do with Isabel. She had made her choices and now she had to live with them. But another part of me remembered being young and believing everything my mother told me. If my mother had been like Colette, would I have turned out differently? Finally, I made a decision. I contacted Gabrielle and asked for the name of Isabel's caseworker. Then I called and asked what Isabel needed. She needs stability, the caseworker said. She's in a group home right now, acting out, struggling in school. She's angry at everyone, especially herself. I don't want to see her or take her in, I clarified. But I can help financially. School supplies, therapy, whatever she needs. That's very generous. Send me the information on how to set it up. I'll make arrangements for ongoing support until she's 18. After that, she's on her own. Why are you doing this? The caseworker asked. Because someone has to break the cycle. I set up a trust fund for Isabel's education and basic needs. It was managed through the foster care system and she would never know it came from me. It was not forgiveness. It was not reconciliation. It was simply an acknowledgement that she was a kid who had been failed by the adults in her life. When I told Jerome about it, he was quiet for a moment. You're a better person than I would be, he finally said. I'm not doing it for her really. I'm doing it so I can move forward without that weight. That's fair. A week before my move to Seattle, Trevor's lawyer filed an appeal. He claimed the trial was unfair, that I had orchestrated a vendetta. It was rejected within 48 hours. Justice, it seemed, was finally working as it should. On my last night before leaving, Nicole threw me a going-away party. Friends from work, from my painting class, from various parts of my life all gathered to wish me well. Don't forget about us, Nicole said, hugging me tightly. Never. Jerome drove me to the airport the next morning. We had decided to try long distance, taking it slow and seeing where it led. Call me when you land, he said, kissing me goodbye. I will. As the plane took off, I looked out the window at the city disappearing below me. Somewhere down there, Trevor was in prison. Colette was in prison. Isabel was in foster care. My old life was gone, burned away by lies and betrayal. But ahead of me was Seattle. A new office, a new team, a new chapter. I was not running away. I was running towards something better. Seattle was everything I needed it to be. The office space was modern and bright, overlooking the water. My team was small but dedicated, eager to build something from the ground up. The work was challenging in the best way, pushing me to be creative and strategic in equal measure. I found an apartment downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the Space Needle. Every morning I woke up to that view and felt grateful. This was my life now. My choice. My success. Jerome and I talked every evening, video calls that stretched on for hours. He was planning to visit in 2 weeks, and I found myself looking forward to it more than I expected. How's everything going? He asked one night. Good. Really good. The Thompson project is ahead of schedule, and we just landed 2 new clients. That's amazing. I'm proud of you. How's business there? Busy. I actually got approached about opening a Seattle branch of my consulting firm. Really? Yeah. I'm thinking about it. He paused. Would that be too much? Me moving to Seattle too? My heart did that small flip again. No, I don't think so. But are you sure you're doing it for the right reasons? I'd be doing it for multiple reasons. Business opportunity, yes. But also to be closer to you. I'm falling for you, Naomi. And I want to see where this goes. I'm falling for you too, I admitted. 3 months into my Seattle position, I received a message from Leslie. Trevor's appeal was denied again. He's going to serve his full sentence. Also, the DA added additional charges based on Gabrielle's evidence. He'll likely serve an additional 2 years. Good. How are you doing out there? Thriving. I'm glad. You deserve it. That week, I received an unexpected letter. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar. Isabel. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. Dear Naomi, I know I don't have the right to write to you. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness or your attention. But I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did. What we all did. And I'm ashamed. I was cruel to you. I helped my parents hurt you. I told myself I was just being loyal to my family, but that's not true. I knew what we were doing was wrong. I just didn't care because I thought I'd benefit from it. I'm in therapy now. The caseworker set it up. I'm working through a lot of things about my parents, about myself, about the choices I made. I'm trying to be better. I heard that you moved to Seattle. I hope you're happy there. I hope you're building the life you deserve, away from all of us. I don't expect you to write back. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I'm trying to change. Isabel. I read the letter twice, then folded it and put it away. I did not write back. I did not know if I ever would. But I kept the letter. Jerome moved to Seattle 4 months after I did. He found an office space near mine and began building his business. We fell into an easy rhythm. Dinners together most nights, weekends exploring the city, comfortable silences and meaningful conversations. I love you, he said one night as we walked along the waterfront. I love you too. It felt different than with Trevor. Less intense, less consuming. But more real. More solid. Love built on honesty and respect instead of lies and manipulation. A year after moving to Seattle, I received another message from Leslie. Trevor is getting out early for good behavior. He'll be released in 6 months. My stomach dropped. Can he contact me? No. The restraining order is permanent. If he tries to reach out to you in any way, he violates his parole and goes back to prison. You're safe, Naomi. Okay. But I was not okay. For days, I jumped at every sound, checked the cameras on my apartment constantly, looked over my shoulder. The rational part of my brain knew I was safe. The traumatized part did not believe it. Jerome noticed. Talk to me. Trevor's getting out soon. He can't contact you, right? No. But that doesn't mean he won't try. What do you need? More security? Do you want to move? I don't know. I finally felt safe. And now I don't. Then we make you safe. Whatever it takes. We upgraded the security in my apartment, added cameras, changed my phone number again. Jerome stayed over most nights just so I would not be alone. 6 months came and went. Trevor was released. According to Leslie, he moved to a small town in Oregon, checking in with his parole officer regularly. He had not tried to contact me. Slowly, I began to relax again. 2 years after moving to Seattle, the Seattle branch of Morrison & Associates was thriving. We had tripled our client base and doubled our staff. Richard flew out to see the office and was impressed. You've built something incredible here, Naomi. Thank you. I'm making you regional director. You'll oversee all West Coast operations. It was another promotion, another recognition of my hard work and talent. I celebrated with Jerome that night. Regional director, he said, raising his glass. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for believing in me. Always. 3 years after the divorce, I got a message from Gabrielle. Isabel graduated high school. She's going to community college on a scholarship. I thought you'd want to know. I smiled. Good for her. Jerome and I moved in together after 2 years of dating. We bought a house together, a beautiful place with a yard and room to grow. There was no rush to get married. We were happy as we were. Do you ever think about having kids? He asked one lazy Sunday morning. Sometimes. Do you? Yeah. I think you'd be an amazing mother. Maybe someday. No pressure. Whenever we're ready. Or never. I'm happy either way. That was Jerome. Patient, supportive, always putting my needs first while still being honest about his own. 4 years after moving to Seattle, I was invited to speak at a conference about overcoming professional challenges. I almost said no. But then I thought about everything I had been through, everything I had learned. I said yes. Standing on that stage, looking out at hundreds of professional women, I told my story. Not all of it. The personal details stayed private. But I talked about being targeted, being manipulated, being betrayed by someone I trusted. And I talked about fighting back. They thought I was weak, I said. They thought I would just accept it. But I didn't. I got angry. I got smart. And I got even. Not through revenge, but through rebuilding. By taking back my power and refusing to be a victim. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, dozens of women approached me, sharing their own stories of betrayal and recovery. "Thank you for speaking," one woman said, tears in her eyes. "I'm going through something similar right now. You gave me hope." "You can do it," I told her. "You're stronger than you think." Driving home that night, I thought about how far I had come. From that dinner table, listening to Isabel mock me in French, to this. Standing on a stage, strong and successful and free. Trevor had tried to destroy me. He had tried to take everything I worked for. But he failed. And I won. 5 years after the divorce, I stood on the balcony of our house, watching the sun rise over Seattle. Jerome was still asleep inside, and I savored the quiet moment. My phone buzzed. A text from Nicole. "Guess what? I'm engaged." I smiled and called her immediately. "Tell me everything," I demanded when she answered. She launched into the story, excited and happy. After we hung up, I thought about how life had changed. Nicole was getting married. I was living with a man I loved. My career was flourishing. Everything I had thought I lost when Trevor betrayed me had been replaced with something better, something real. The Seattle office was now the most profitable branch of Morrison & Associates. I had a team of 50 people, and we were making moves that put us on the national radar. Richard had hinted at making me partner, a position that would give me partial ownership of the entire company. "You've earned it 10 times over," he had said during his last visit. Jerome's business was also thriving. He had expanded to 3 cities and was consulting for some major corporations. We were both successful, both fulfilled, both happy. One evening, as we cooked dinner together in our kitchen, he brought up marriage again. "I know we said no rush," he started. "But I want to marry you, Naomi. Not because I need a piece of paper to prove we love each other, but because I want the world to know you chose me. That I chose you. That we're building this life together." I set down my knife and turned to face him. "Are you proposing?" "Not yet. I'm testing the waters. Making sure you're open to it." "I am. But I need you to understand something first." "Okay. I'm never going to be the woman who depends on a man for her happiness or her security. I'm always going to work. I'm always going to be ambitious. I'm always going to protect myself." "I know. And I love that about you. And if you ever lie to me, if you ever betray me, I'm gone. No second chances." "I would never. But I understand." "Okay then. Ask me properly whenever you're ready." He proposed 2 months later at the waterfront where we had first said "I love you." It was simple and perfect, and I said yes without hesitation. We planned a small wedding, just close friends and family. Nicole was my maid of honor. Dorothy cried happy tears. It was nothing like my first wedding, no rushing, no red flags ignored, no lies hidden beneath the surface. This was real. The night before the wedding, Nicole and I sat in my hotel room, drinking wine and reminiscing. "You did it," she said. "You took your life back. We did it. You were there through everything. I'm so proud of you. You're the strongest person I know. I'm just stubborn." "That too." "Nicole, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Do you think I've forgiven Trevor?" She was quiet for a moment. "Have you?" "I don't know. I don't think about him anymore. I don't hate him. I just don't care. That's probably better than forgiveness. That's indifference. He's irrelevant to your life now." "Yeah, he is." The wedding was beautiful. Simple, elegant, full of love. When Jerome and I exchanged vows, I meant every word. When I promised forever, I believed it. Because this time, I was choosing someone who had proven himself. Someone who had shown me, through actions not just words, that he loved me for who I was. 6 months after the wedding, I received a letter from the California State Prison System. My hands shook as I opened it. It was from Trevor. I almost threw it away unread. But something made me look. "Naomi, I know I have no right to contact you. I know the restraining order means I could go back to prison for this. But I'm dying and I needed to write this before it's too late. I have stage 4 cancer. The doctors say I have maybe 6 months left. I'm not writing to ask for sympathy or forgiveness. I don't deserve either. I'm writing to tell you I'm sorry. What I did to you was unforgivable. You were kind to me, you loved me, and I used that against you. You deserved so much better. I know this doesn't change anything. I know sorry doesn't fix what I broke. But I wanted you to know that I recognize what I did was evil. I destroyed something good because I was greedy and selfish. I hope you've built a good life. I hope you're happy. You deserve all the happiness in the world. I'm sorry, Trevor. I read the letter twice, then set it on the table. Jerome found me there an hour later, staring at it. What is it? He asked. I handed him the letter. He read it, his expression darkening. Are you okay? Yeah, I think I am. Do you want to respond? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to write back, to tell him off one final time. To let him know how much he hurt me, how much damage he caused. But what was the point? No, I said finally. He made his choices. Now he's living with the consequences. That's not my responsibility anymore. What do you want to do with the letter? I took it from Jerome's hand and walked to the fireplace. I struck a match and held it to the corner of the paper, watching it catch and burn. As the letter turned to ash, I felt something shift inside me. The last thread connecting me to that part of my life was gone. I was free. Truly, completely free. 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. Jerome and I had been talking about kids, but this was sooner than we planned. When I told him, his face lit up with pure joy. We're having a baby? We're having a baby. He picked me up and spun me around, both of us laughing. This was everything Trevor had promised but never meant. A real partnership, a real family built on truth and love. 9 months later, I gave birth to a daughter. We named her Sophia Dorothy, after Jerome's mother. Holding her in my arms, looking at her tiny perfect face, I felt a surge of protective love so strong it took my breath away. Hello, beautiful girl, I whispered. You're going to have such a good life. I promise. Jerome sat beside me, his arm around my shoulders, looking at our daughter with wonder. She has your eyes, he said. And your nose. Poor kid. I laughed, and Sophia made a small sound as if laughing with us. A month after Sophia was born, I received a message from the prison system. Trevor had died. His cancer had progressed faster than expected. I felt nothing. No sadness, no relief, no anger. Just nothing. Are you okay? Jerome asked when I told him. Yeah. It's really over now. That chapter is completely closed. Good. I never heard from Colette again. According to Leslie, she served her time and moved to France after her release. Isabel sent me a card when she graduated from community college, thanking me for the support I had given her through the system. She had transferred to a 4-year university and was studying social work. I want to help kids like me, she wrote. Kids who make bad choices because of bad parents. I want to break the cycle. I was proud of her. She had taken responsibility for her actions and was working to become better. That was all anyone could do. On Sophia's first birthday, we had a party in our backyard. Friends from work, Nicole and her husband, Dorothy, neighbors we had gotten close to. The house was full of laughter and love. As I watched Jerome playing with Sophia, as I looked around at all the people who genuinely cared about us, I felt overwhelming gratitude. This was my life now. Built on truth, on hard work, on real love. No lies, no manipulation, no hidden agendas. Nicole found me in the kitchen refilling drinks. You look happy, she said. I am. I really am. You deserve this. All of it. Thank you for sticking with me through everything. Always. That night, after everyone had gone home and Sophia was asleep, Jerome and I sat on the back porch. What are you thinking about? He asked. How far I've come. 5 years ago, I was sitting at a dinner table, listening to my husband and stepdaughter plan to destroy me. And now I'm here. With you, with Sophia, with a life I actually love. You did that. You fought back. You rebuilt. We did it together. He kissed my forehead. I love you. I love you too. As we sat there in the quiet, I thought about everything I had learned. About trusting my instincts. About the importance of independence. About the difference between love that lifts you up and love that tears you down. Trevor had tried to break me. But instead he had freed me. Freed me to build something real, something lasting, something true. I was stronger than I ever thought possible. I was successful beyond my wildest dreams. I was loved genuinely and completely. And I was happy. Not in spite of what happened, but because of how I chose to respond to it. I refused to be a victim. I refused to let someone else's cruelty define my life. Instead, I chose to rise. And I soared.